everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 16 Pro and compare it against the iPhone 13 Pro and see which particular phone is the better one for you. Now, clearly the iPhone 16 Pro is going to be the one that is probably going to be the better one for the everyday average person. That phone is going to be giving you a way better experience. It's going to look great, it's going to feel great, and that is kind of the phone that I'd recommend a vast majority of people to pretty much recommend to pick up. But at the same time, I think the 13 Pro is still a pretty decent phone. I think it's going to be giving you a lot of stuff to kind of, play around and mess around with it as well. But we'll go ahead and take a look at which one is kind of the better one for you. So if you want to go and pick up, the iPhone 16 Pro or some other iPhones that I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get that from there, and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of these particular phones, the iPhone 16 Pro and the iPhone 13 Pro are kind of one of the same in some ways. So the iPhone 13 Pro originally came out back in 2021, and within this type of device, this is a little bit of a different type of phone for the most part. So the thing to keep in mind here, and the thing that I always kind of recommend, is that with the 13 Pro, this was actually a really good type of device when it first came out. So I really did appreciate what Apple kind of did here. They gave us a really good looking phone, and it was a really big upgrade coming from its predecessor. So the iPhone 13 Pro on the front is giving you a 6.1 inch Super Retina exterior OLED display, and it overall is like a pretty good looking panel. I think if you're going to go through and get a phone even still in this day and age, Apple did a really good job with this type of phone. And I've always felt like whenever they were going to go through and pick up these types of devices or make these phones, these devices could stand the test of time for quite some time. So I feel like this in and of itself, albeit it's not the best performing phone anymore, and it's definitely not the best display anymore, I do think for the most part, Apple did a great job with this type of phone. And I do think there's still a lot to love about a phone like this in 2025. Now with the iPhone 16 Pro, on the other hand, this is basically the best of the best type of phone you can basically get your hands on. So this phone is giving you a 6.3 inch LTPO Super Retina exterior OLED display. So this type of phone is pretty much one of the best types of devices that you can basically get your hands on. So if you're trying to go through and pick up, any sort of device, you're definitely going to be able to get a device inside of all these, inside the 16 Pro in this case, that is definitely going to be giving you a way better type of experience. So that type of device is going to look great. It's going to feel very good. It's a bigger size display than the iPhone 13 Pro. It's also going to be giving you 2000 nits of brightness and still maintaining that 120 Hz display as well. So that type of phone is giving you pretty much everything you'd ever want inside of a device. It's big, it's massive. You're also getting the dynamic island, which also looks overall better than the standard, notch type of layout that we're getting inside of the iPhone 13 Pro. So that right there is also going to be a little slight difference. But if I'm looking at both phones, I feel like both of them are going to be giving you good types of layouts. But like I said, the iPhone 16 Pro is by far going to be the way nicer one here. The 16 Pro is also giving you the camera button on the side, which it really isn't that big of a deal. But the 16 Pro is giving you a USB Type-C port on the bottom, which that in and of itself is such a nice thing to basically have there. I love having USB Type-C, and you're essentially going to be able to get that type of capability there inside of this type of phone, which, like I said, I am a big, massive fan of for sure. So definitely going through and getting a phone, I would love to be able to get a device like that and be able to get that type of capability. So definitely with the iPhone 16 Pro, it kind of wins there. The rest of the build quality is fairly similar too. There's not too many crazy big differences here for the most part. Both of them still look pretty good, which is something that I love seeing. So you're still going to be able to get a really good type of capability between both. But like I said, if you are trying to go through and get the phone that is going to be able to give you maybe a little bit of a better type of layout, the 16 Pro is by far going to be the one that is going to be giving you the overall better type of experience from that particular side. Now, on top of that, another important thing to keep in mind here too is that when you are kind of looking at all these types of devices, the iPhone 16 Pro is still going to be able to give you a really good type of experience when it kind of comes down to the cameras. The 13 Pro and 16 Pro are giving you triple camera setups on the backside, but keep in mind that with something like the iPhone 16 Pro, this type of phone is giving you a higher megapixel count on the wide angle camera. It's also giving you 4K at 120 frames per second on the backside. With the iPhone 12 Pro, the 13 Pro gave you 4K at 60. So, that's kind of a pretty big jump. Especially if you're trying to do, a higher frame rate, you're going to be able to get that inside of something like an iPhone 16 Pro rather than something like an iPhone 13 Pro. But to be honest, I still think an iPhone 13 Pro is still a very good camera. Like that is still a very good option for the most part. And if you're about to go through and pick up a phone, I feel like that by far is still a really good option. Again, maybe it isn't perfect, but I feel like if you are about to go through and pick up a device, you're still probably going to be able to get a pretty decent phone inside of something like the iPhone 13 Pro. But the iPhone 16 Pro by far is going to be the one that's going to be probably giving you an overall better type of experience from that particular situation. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there a little bit as well. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to software longevity, this is another one of those really big things to keep in mind here too, because you're probably wanting to go ahead and get a phone that is going to be giving you a longer lasting type of software device. And with something like the iPhone 16 Pro, this device is pretty much just getting started with software support. So this device still has so many years of software support ahead of it. If you're trying to get the device that is going to be giving you a longer lasting one, something like the iPhone 16 Pro is probably going to be the one that's going to be giving you the longer software support. So that phone is going to be giving you probably another 3 years on top of the iPhone 16 Pro. So that right there is going to be another really big thing to keep in mind here too. Because if you are wanting the phone that's going to be giving you the more software updates, then definitely the iPhone 16 Pro is the one there for you. When it comes down to the performance, this is another really important thing to keep in mind here as well. So between both with the iPhone 13 Pro, this phone is giving you the Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 gigs of RAM, where the iPhone 16 Pro is basically giving you the Apple A18 Pro chipset inside of it with 8 gigabytes of RAM. So this right there is another very big thing to keep in mind here too, because you're probably wanting to go through and get a device or get a phone for that matter that is going to be giving you an overall better type of experience. And as I always say, it's probably better off getting a device that is still going to be able to, stand the test of time for quite some time. And with something like the iPhone 16 Pro, the performance on this phone is going to be top tier. It really is going to be one of the better types of performances that you can basically get inside of a device. And I feel like if you are about to go through and pick up a phone, this is by far a really decent option when it kind of comes down to it. So personally for me, I think if you're going to go through and pick up a device, that is kind of a good option right there, right? Maybe it's not necessarily perfect, but I would imagine that you're going to be able to get a really good type of device and really good type of build and an experience instead of that type of device when it comes down to it. So in my personal opinion, I'd probably tell you this is a pretty good type of a device for the most part. Again, maybe it isn't perfect, but I do feel like for the most part, getting a phone or getting a device, like the iPhone 16 Pro is probably going to be the overall better type of one when it kind of comes down to it from that particular side as well. So overall, what I can definitely tell you is that when I take a look at these types of devices, I think the iPhone 16 Pro clearly is the one that makes the most amount of sense to go ahead and buy. That one is the phone that's going to be giving you way more type of capability. Just everything across the board is going to be way better inside of that type of phone. So, that's the one that I'd probably look at as probably being the better one in almost every single way. But at the same time, I feel like a device like an iPhone 16 Pro, although it's newer, it is more expensive, and the 13 Pro might be a better value per dollar. But if you want to save some money and still get a really good phone, I think a device like an iPhone 15 Pro is also still a very good option when it comes down to it as well. So from that side too, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.